If you are looking to grow your business, you're a solopreneur, you're an entrepreneur, author, speaker, coach, service provider, and you really want to take your business to the next level, or you're just feeling like things aren't clicking, it's not working, you're not making the sales, you're not marketing effectively, people just aren't getting what you're about, definitely check out EmployeeEscapePlan.com. That's www.EmployeeEscapePlan.com. Mr. Joe Nicasio is an amazing individual, mentor, coach, and advisor. He advises me, Burn It Up Coaching, becoming your greatest possible self, and he has been with me for 3 years, and I just really trust the guy. He's amazing, has a heart of gold, and I highly recommend you allow him to make the difference for you, to help you make double your revenue back, and he's an amazing, amazing guy. So go talk to Joe Nicasio. He'll help you out. EmployeeEscapePlan.com. Now for the woman of the hour. I'm totally finding your intro right now. Boom! Stephanie received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from SUNY New Paltz and her double Master's in Education and Health from Hofstra University. Her experience working as a specialist, trainer, and educator for a crisis intervention and suicide prevention hotline led to her passion for educating people on how to live their most fulfilling lives. Their best life ever, aka their greatest possible self. Her pursuit of continuing education led to additional certifications in nutrition, various teaching modalities, and working with special needs children, all of which contributed to a well-rounded perspective on wellness. Possessing an innate awareness of our energetic nature, Stephanie was led to become certified as a Level 2 Reiki practitioner. Recognizing a greater calling to inspire others to achieve results reflective of their true potential, she became a relationship coach and was certified as a dream coach, enabling her clients to gain clarity on their true purpose and create a workable action plan to make their greatest dreams a reality and become the greatest possible selves. Stephanie, are you ready to rock this?
I am.
Awesome.
How do you keep all this energy, by the way, doing this all day long?
I just choose.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm blessed to be here, and thank you for showing up today and contributing to our audience. We definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
It's an honor. I really am excited to be able to share, and any information that people have or they need from me, I would love to be able to share whatever I can.
Sweet. We received that. Thank you. And let's start diving in. We always start these interviews off with the question of the day, which is based on the theme. Today, it's engineered consistency. So I know in the world of woo, right? Woo-woo, engineering doesn't exactly quite fit in. Yet, to be effective, to create love, to create more peace, harmony, and things like that, consistency is important. And the patience and you got your Reiki level 2 practitioner. That took consistency. That took, time. So how has engineered consistency showed up for you? And how have you actually implemented that and created more consistency in your life?
Well, I think one of the big things that I've started doing recently is I've been starting my day every single day with meditation. If 5 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever I can actually get in.
Yeah.
And I do my affirmations. Sometimes it's at the same time. A lot of times it is because there's just not a lot of time. But there was a great practitioner of meditation that said, if you don't have time for meditation, then you need to do even more.
Yep.
When you feel like the world is just too much and it's overwhelming, which it can be for so many people right now with just everything going on in the world, that's the time you really need to meditate. And I noticed the rest of the day that if I don't meditate in the morning, I'm a little off. I'm a little bit crankier. I'm a little bit not as focused. So that for me has been a really, really huge part of my daily activity. And then realistically, I think it's really just keeping up to, like, right before I came on today, I did my yoga practice.
Nice.
That's really important to be able to get that in and really have that time for yourself, because we're being pulled in every other direction, and you really need to kind of bring it back to self and remind yourself that you need to. Princey just actually made a video that said something. It was something about putting the face mask on yourself first, like in the airplane. Yeah. And I say that to my clients all the time. You got to take care of you. It's easy to get thrown into getting calls from different, too many clients, and there's all these things you want to do, and you want to help your family, and I'm a mother, and all things, but you got to put yourself first and keep that focus. And I think that also the fact when you have a really good why, know the why of why you're doing everything you're doing, I think that helps for me a lot as well.
Awesome. That's so powerful. And, you just shared like really what you have been living, that self-love. When you're living that yourself, it just radiates, and people are able to, they're like almost more drawn to you, more magnetized, because people can tell, they can feel our energy if we're taking care of ourselves versus if we're just like barely hanging on. They're like, not really resonating with Chris today, whatever,
Yeah. It's true. And I'm just a better coach and person all around, just like you said. I mean, I can really read my client a lot better if I've focused on myself and done my meditation. So I can read your energy and see what you're exuding and what you're maybe needing a little bit more help with that you might not be saying. Right. But if I take that time for myself, I kind of lose it a little bit.
Yep. I love that. It's beautiful. And, I really love what you said there, because it's when people are like struggling with their words, struggling to like deal with the blind spot, whatever the breakdown is, whatever the pain, the suffering, that I feel like as an intuitive, you're able to like really see it expressed there. It's like, yeah, you could probably detect some stuff in me, like while I'm sharing with you, like naturally. And I think that performers and people who are on camera are able to share effectively without a lot of that stuff getting in the way. But when it comes to, okay, now I'm dealing with my own stuff that I'm insecure about, it's like we start getting uptight, we start breathing differently, our body posture change, our facial expressions change. It's just awesome. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's awesome. So we're going to dive into your journey. And before that, let's get into more about what you're doing today. Like, what is it that you're creating? What are you doing for people? Share about that. And then we can dive into the journey, the story, the challenges that you had to overcome to get to where we are today.
And it's never an easy way to get to where we are now, right?
Amen.
If it was super easy, no one would want to listen to that story. It was perfect, and then bam, here she is. Like, that's boring. Nobody wants to hear that. So it is definitely the struggle. But yeah, as of now, what we are doing is I started a business called Mind and Body Awakenings. I started it actually about 3 years ago, and I knew I wanted to give back and I wanted to help people. But honestly, at that point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I started the business, and I called up a few of my friends that I knew were really into nutrition, and a friend of mine who was doing holistic social work. And I said, listen, I had a float tank session. Your face came into my mind. I need you as part of my team. And they were like, yeah, sure. Whatever you want to do. We want to jump in. And I was like, all right, cool. So I brought them in, and we just started kind of talking about what we wanted to do. And our biggest thing at that point was just to help people. And we didn't know who our target audience was, or who our clients were. We just knew that we wanted to help. So we started really looking into it and kind of delving into ourselves. And I started to find that for me, it was probably the best to help women who are overcoming unhealthy relationships and who are looking to rediscover themselves. So my specific focus is on that. And of course, the other people that I'm working with, they're all a little bit different of a focus, but it's all geared toward the same goal of actually helping people. And so I've been doing that for about 3 years. I am coaching. So I would call myself a transformational coach. Okay. And I get to work one-on-one with my clients. And I mean, what I've seen is just phenomenal. What I'm also seeing is the more that I'm helping my clients, the more that I see help is needed. Not just clients, obviously, but in the world. I mean, you kind of go out and you're like, oh, there's just so much, like that little tweak that could just help that one person, when you see it. And it's hard, sometimes it's frustrating as a helper, and as a former codependent. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But that helping person, you just want to kind of help and but you have to learn that when people are ready, they come and ask for help. Yeah. And then once they come and they're ready for that change, it's just so beautiful to watch. It's one of my favorite things to see. I have a client right now. She was telling me that she's seen more in the past year working with me than she's seen in the past 10 years. Wow. And it's just amazing, because here she is now living the life and working towards the life she wants, where had she not made that decision to make a change, she'd still be back where she was. And that to me is that's what I love it. I think it's an amazing opportunity. You know what I love as well about coaching is like the length of time that someone is able to get coached and sticks with it, and able to gain that mastery and the perspective over their self, their habits, the unserving parts, just the wisdom and experience. I love the
consistency and duration of coaching, because like I've found when I have those weekly calls, weekly check-ins, it's like, okay, you know, this was off last week, didn't really work so well, or this was super awesome. And it's just like having that sounding board is super powerful, but also someone who is able to tweak, is able to see the tweaks from the outsider's perspective that we can make to make all the changes is super powerful.
And to hold you accountable, and all that plus hold you accountable, because when I'm having a coach, and I actually have a coach as well for myself now, I think it's so important to constantly learn and hold yourself accountable, have someone else help. But, you know, I had a coach earlier on, and it was just, I was doing all these things anyway, and I thought, I don't really know if I need a coach. But then the amount of just structure that I had from actually having to answer every week.
Yep.
I have to say what I did this week. I do. And that, it just forces you to move forward at such a faster pace, because real life comes in. And I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, I'm a teacher. I do all these different things. Next thing you know, a month has gone by and you haven't accomplished anything that in your mind you were going to do. But that coach will keep you accountable so that your weekly, check-ins is saying, hey, I didn't, or I did, or this is what I need to do differently. And that to me is so helpful.
Yeah. And you know what our relationship with our coach is, it usually manifests in the people, we're coaching. For example, I hired a coach a while back, and I was like, damn, I don't want to pay this. I paid him the first time. I was like, cool, it's awesome. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, I don't want to pay you again. There's this resistance, this sucks to pay. And he's like, where else does that show up? Is that showing up for you and your clients? If you're having that relationship with paying money now, that's totally going to be reflective with your clients. I was like, ooh, I love paying you. I love paying you.
You call me out. Yeah. And it's so important, to be able to call somebody out and not make them feel bad. And it's that's such a science that you learn as you're going through it, is to say, hey, you did this wrong, and I'm going to say something and say, oh yeah. And to be able to actually not feel defensive about it, because so often people that we care about say something, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, a lot of times. But, that coach where it's a third party that have nothing really to do with you other than wanting you to succeed. If they're telling you that something is wrong, it's good to listen to what their ideas are to be able to help move you forward.
Totally. Yeah, it's that objective-based listening so that we can hear the wisdom. And speaking of wisdom, you've had a lot of wisdom that you've gained along your journey. So why don't you share about that with us so our audience can get more connected with you and just understand how you got to where you are today?
Well, it was quite a journey, and everyone's got their stories, like we said. But it basically started out, I was a military kid. We moved around a lot, and my parents didn't exactly get along very well, and which I'm sure is a lot of other parents as well. There's a lot of arguing, and I kind of learned growing up without realizing it that I thought love was kind of this uncomfortable thing. It was nice, and I loved everybody, but it just kind of felt uncomfortable. And so when I started dating as a teenager, and then I started having my first long-term relationship, it was 7.5 years, and it started to go bad. And I knew that it was going bad, and there were things in the relationship that I just wasn't happy with, but I really was just holding on to it. I can fix this. I can make it better. I can help him, push through whatever his issues are. And I kept really just putting his needs and his wants above mine.
Wow.
And his father passed away, and I was making excuses for his behavior, and he started to become verbally abusive, and then a few times physically abusive. And the cops were called to my house, and I said, you know what? And one of the police officers said to me, this is supposed to be the best time in your life. You need to end this.
Wow.
And I was 7 years old. And, so I was like, you know what? You're right.
Man.
Police officers left, and I think he left for a little while, and then I ended up breaking off that relationship. And you would think, I did some work. I did a little bit of therapy, not enough, a little bit of therapy, and I started dating again more quickly than I should have. And I started dating someone that I thought was a friend of mine. I knew him from parties, and I had seen him. He was a friend of a friend. So I thought he was safe. And the red flags started popping up, and I was ignoring them.
Wow.
Hindsight, part of the ignoring it was saying to myself, I'm getting older. I'm going to be 29. That felt so old back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know. To be like, that was so long ago, and I was such a kid, but in my mind, and that's, I think, what gets us most of the time, that story in our minds. So, I'm getting older and, whatever. And so there was all these red flags, and I was just like, all right, it's going to get better when we get married. which is not true. And I kept kind of putting it off. And then we had some really bad fights, and some of the worst in me was coming out. And I was like, oh God, I am doing this as well. And I need to take responsibility. I'm doing this also. And so we ended up getting married, and on our wedding night, it was the best day of my life. And then it ended up being the worst night of my life. And he ended up strangling me. And instead of running like hell far away, that piece of me, that strong, independent woman, said to myself, I am embarrassed. I just had family fly in from Europe, from all over the United States. I just spent all of this money to marry this guy. And okay, I'm going to try to make it work. And so I tried to make it work. And so for about 5 years, it was a little over 5 years that we were married. And it ended up getting, of course, worse. So there was, physical violence and definitely verbal violence. And, I never really knew what I was going to get. And it was just a very uncomfortable, unhealthy, toxic relationship. Totally. Again, there was that little voice in my head. You're 31 years old. It's going to be harder to date. Oh, you're 32 years old. And getting to the point, I was like 33 and I was almost 34. And I started saying to myself, wait a minute, I've been saying the same thing in my head for a year. How about 2 years? Now it's been 3 years. And here I am crying way more often than I should be. Not happy, feeling like I can't be myself, feeling almost like my voice has been muted, and just not being myself. And really the worst of me being brought out as well. I mean, it was just not good for anybody. And so I don't know how much, if I can curse, but there was basically one day he had quit his job, and he was waitering, and I was taking care of all the households, all the bills for the household. And he was supposed to go waiter, and he was supposed to go make all this money waitering. Was all excited. I was working a second job, and all of a sudden I got a text message, him saying, I quit my job today. And I said, okay. So I kind of text message back, you need to go. And I know he would get, hot tempered. You need to go back and ask for your job back. And his response was, and this is exactly what he said, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the word. He said, just like typical cunt bitch Stephanie, to not support her husband's. And I looked at that, and that was the icing on the cake. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm done. I do not need to be here. I am working 2-3 jobs to be able to keep food on the table and a roof over our head. And you're going to quit your job because you got angry at your boss. And I was so frustrated because all I had been doing was supporting him in my mind. Right. So, that was like the aha moment. And so basically I decided to get a divorce. He was not happy about it. It was very tumultuous divorce, obviously. I had to go live with a friend for a while. And time went on, and I started to feel a little bit better. But then I guess about 6 months or a year went by, and then all of a sudden things started to go wrong. And my grandmother passed away. I had some legal issues. I then got a blood clot. I was dating a guy, started dating a guy like that I had dated in middle school. So I was all like gaga, like, oh, this might be the one, And he ghosted me. I experienced being ghosted. He just disappeared. I had no idea where he went. And then I got pink eye and sprained my ankle. And before I sprained my ankle, it was like every 2 weeks. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like I divorced this guy. Right. Things are supposed to be better. I'm like doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. It was just like one after the other after the other. It was like getting hit with a baseball bat, And it was like, oh my God. So I just remember it was the beginning. It was just after New Year's. And it was, I sprained my ankle, and I'm in the emergency room with a swollen ankle. My left ankle's all swollen, and something stupid. My leg fell asleep, and I tried to walk, and I sprained my ankle. I mean, it was stupid. Oh. And I'm sitting in the emergency room, and I just like put my hands up, and I'm like, all right, universe, I get it. And there was this little voice in my head that said to me, you're way stronger than you realize. You've got this. You have to make the changes. And there was that voice inside of me that I was tears in my eyes, and I was like, okay, I get it. And I was like, thank you. And probably I'm probably the weirdest person ever, because I'm in the hospital like crying and laughing through tears of just like release of like, okay, I finally learned the lesson. The universe was like, bam, bam, bam. Let me try to show that I wasn't listening until finally that and I was listening. And so I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Celestine Prophecy.
Mm-mm. I heard of it a lot.
Okay, it's a great book. Definitely recommend. Anyone who's watching, definitely recommend. But it's all about energy and like reading energies and things like that. And I was trying to just get myself out of the depression because I was in a depression at that point. And I was reading this book. And so I sprained my ankle. I go back home. I put my foot up. I take my book out. And the very next page is the character spraining his ankle in the book.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, all right, again, I got it. It's the lesson reading. And I was like, and all the things in there was basically about how we are kind of our own worst enemy. And some of the things that we're doing to ourselves. And I was able to start, reconnecting with who I was and following my passions and got out of victim mode.
Yeah.
And that was so important because when all of the bad things were happening, I would lay in bed depressed, curled up in a ball, not eating. I lost like 20 or 30 pounds. Like I could barely get out of bed. I was going to work, coming home, getting in my pajamas. And all I would think to myself is, someone come help me. Someone come and help me. And it was me. I needed to come myself. So then basically from there on out, that right about then is when I was just following my passions and doing whatever felt good. If it felt good, I just did it. And I started to relearn what love felt like just from friends and watching positive relationships and putting myself around the right people and really learning who I was. And I actually started dating a few people. I had never just dated. I was like long-term relationship person, was with both two people for 7.5 years of my life. That's 15 years from a bad relationship to another. So I didn't even really know how to date. So I was like dating, and I started dating a few people, and one of them was this guy, and he seemed really great. He was really into natural healing, and he opened up a holistic healing business, and he was a Reiki master teacher, and he was, all these great things, musician, and all the things that I had made in my list of if I was ever going to date again, the guy that I was looking for, that's things on the list. And I'm like, this guy has a lot of things on the list, but I don't want to date anymore. I think I just want to be single because I just had such bad experiences. I was afraid for a lot of different reasons. And I said, okay, let's just see. So we'd go on a date, we'd have a great time. And then later on, I would say to myself, okay, you know what? He's too nice of a guy. He's too good to be true. I'm just going to break up with him. And then I did that 3 times. And then he has his big blue eyes, and he would look at me with just like this love and just so honest and open. And basically like, it was like he was showing me his hands, like his hand, like he was just so genuine. And I was so not used to that. And in that time of me trying to figure out how much I wanted to be serious with him, I got to know him as a person, and we got to be friends. And he didn't force me to be anything. He said to me, you do what you want, and I'll be supportive of you. Know that you are where I want to end up, and I'll be waiting for you. And if you don't want to be with me, please tell me. But I'm giving you free reign to make your decision. So not having someone push me and feel like they were trying to control me. And of course, long story short, we ended up getting married. Wow. I finally gave in and said, let's try this. And he was the perfect match for me in every way. Now we have a beautiful 2-year-old. He's going to be 2 years old next week, a 2-year-old son. So it ended up working out really well. And we've been married for almost 3 years.
Wow. Congratulations. That's so awesome. So awesome. One thing I really hear in how you share is like story mastery. Like you've really taken the time to look at your life and everything that's happened and construct it in a way that empowers you, that lifts you up. And I was just thinking to myself, like, there's all these little events that happen in our life, or even big events, whatever, that we have the opportunity to give meaning to, that we have the opportunity to say, this is what it meant for me in the long term. And so everyone listening, just be wise. Be wise about how you are categorizing, classifying, and labeling the events that have happened to you. Because the same thing could have happened. Stephanie, you could have said, my hurt my ankle, and that just means that I'm clumsy, and that could have stayed with you forever, whatever, right? Instead, you said it was the string of events that was life attempting to teach me a lesson. There's nothing about like not being enough, nothing about like all that kind of stuff. It's like I was being silly. My leg was asleep and I got up. So that's just really awesome that that you've taken the time to really craft that so that it makes a difference for everyone, for yourself and for everyone around you. It's really inspiring. So thank you for doing that work.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it took a lot, to get there, because obviously going through it, you're just like, why me? And then after back and really that lesson, like you said, is so powerful, because then you can learn and move on, because I never wanted to repeat that ever.
I feel you. So awesome. So we talked about the journey. It's been an incredible journey. You're with your husband now, and you work together, correct? Tell us about how that works, working together and healing people, helping people in that capacity.
Well, it's wonderful because, like even yesterday we were talking to each other and we kind of like my husband and I did a handoff where one of us is watching this, our son, and then the other one we trade off because we know what it's like to be with a client or to have an appointment. So, we trade off, we know how to keep them quiet as best we can or on an important call or something like that. But it's great because my husband does, so he's a Reiki master teacher. So he gets to do all of that energy healing work. And then he also does something called Psyche, and I am not the expert at explaining it, but I can tell you a quickie version of what it is. Basically, what Psyche is it is a high-speed mindset change. So what it does is it takes those subconscious beliefs that you have that you don't realize. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough, whatever it is. And you come up with another belief statement, and it's kind of almost like rebooting your computer. So you're able to reinsert this new belief statement, and then that negative belief is now a positive belief. And now when you're starting to go into that mode, your brain goes to the positive mode as opposed to the negative mode. And I found actually, we used it with, I had a client, and she was actually only a short-term client. But what I found, which was really amazing, was that I did my coaching. And normally what I've been doing is hour-long coachings, every single week. And with Skype or Zoom or whatever, my clients would like to use. And again, I like to see faces so I can read their energy. But we found that when we mixed our two abilities together, and he was able to do his Psyche and I was able to do the coaching, once he did the Psyche session with her, which is like an hour to 2 hours, depending on what you need to craft your new belief statement, it was like a switch went off. And here was someone that had all of these issues with, loving herself and believing in herself and all these things. And that light switch just, turned on. And the next session I had with her, she was just absorbing everything in such a way and just so much more positive, so much more open to the coaching. And it was just amazing to see how that just like catapulted her forward. Wow. So actually what we've been looking to kind of use our crafts together a little bit more, because kind of right now he's doing more his thing and then I'm doing a little bit more with the relationships. Here is such a great opportunity to just be able to, meld together, and what he's good at and I'm good at and able to work together for that, I think is great. And I also think it's really great for, as a female, to have a male perspective and a open, like understanding male to listen to them. I think a lot of women that have been in unhealthy relationships, we have not had that healthy male to be able to speak to. So to have someone, I think that kind of helps everybody along.
I agree. Awesome. That's a great balance of the masculine, feminine energy, different perspectives, and he has his own set of techniques, and you have your own set and your own way of doing things. It's beautiful. So why don't we start diving in a little bit more to today's theme, today's topic, and really what that means of being, the person of your greatest possible self, right? Like, who is that, and what does that mean? What does that look like for you? How do you help your clients do that?
Well, I don't know if this really answers the question, but I'm thinking, have you ever heard of Bruce Lipton?
Yes.
Okay. So Bruce Lipton, energy psychologist, and also he does, he's a scientist. So he's kind of different perspectives. Well, if you ever read the book, The Honeymoon Effect, it's a great book. I read it a few months ago, and he gave a really good analogy about atoms. And hopefully I get it right, but it's kind of coming to me. So he has this analogy about atoms and how we're all basically these atoms. And in the scientific world, the atoms are either they have all of their molecules around them. Am I saying it correctly? Dots around them. So they're either working properly or they're looking to connect to another atom that needs to have some of the molecules so they can attach. But now the problem is that when that one atom is not working properly, it's wobbly. So it's like this thing, he calls it the wobbly atom. So now you take this wobbly atom and this other wobbly atom, you put it together, and it's still kind of wobbly. It's not working very well, right? And that's dysfunctional relationships. You're wobbly over here, and you found another person who's wobbly over here, and you're not connected, and now you're wobbly together. You're just kind of, out together. But now a better situation is you have an atom that's not wobbly and working out really well, doing what's supposed to be doing, and another one working very well on its own. Now you take it together. Now neither one of them are wobbly, and now they're actually helping each other best versions of themselves. And that to me is really such a great way of explaining how people need to be. Because I think when I talk to a lot of people, their thing is, I want to find someone. I want someone to complete me. I want my other half, things like that. Yeah. And that's so frustrating because now that I'm on the other side, I needed to be a full person, and my husband, he needed to be a full person before we could connect. And we didn't get together till I was 37 and he was 39, but we were both wobbly atoms before then. So we were not able to connect. We would have never, been able to connect the way that we do now. Once we went through what we needed to go through and learned about ourselves and who we are, we were able to connect. So I think that's a big lesson for people, is to really focus on, and again, you can tell me from a guy's perspective, but from a girl's perspective, I feel like we're kind of taught, like, you need to grow up, get married, you need to have a big, beautiful wedding and have lots of, and there's like this feeling of what you have to do and by a certain age and do all these things. And so you're kind of looking like that and like, oh, I need to find somebody. Hurry up. I need to attach myself to somebody before you've even grown to figure out who you are. You don't even know what you like or what you want or what makes you tick. And you're going to go find someone that's going to be your second part of you. I mean, like, it's silly that we put that kind of strain on ourselves, or to be like, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to get married and have 2 kids. Yeah. And that's a dangerous place to be. I mean, I was even talking to someone recently that she was saying that she was dating someone, and she said, we've been dating for a while. I'm hoping that he asks me to marry him soon. And I was like, well, is he the one you want to marry? Well, I mean, he's great. He's got this and that and whatever, but I'm going to be 30. And I was like, okay, wait. I'm like, let's think about that. Yeah.
Stop it.
Like, no, don't do that. So then I started saying, is this the guy? Like, is this the guy? Is this the one that you can't stop thinking about, that he's your best friend? And the answer was no to all of those things. And thankfully, she trusts what I say a little bit because she broke up with him afterwards.
Oh, so good.
But it was just kind of like, you're not in the moment. I think so often it's like, well, this is what it is. I'm 30. I need to get married. And this is what you do when you're this age. And that's such a wrong thing to live by. We get sucked into what we're supposed to do, as opposed to what's natural and normal for us. I mean, when you start following those passions, it's like a pulling feeling.
Yes.
It's like there's feeling in your chest and you're like, oh, I just need to do that. It's just easier, honestly, if I do that. And to me is how you just follow your love and your excitement. It's just, follow your bliss. It's just follow whatever that is. And it will normally take you in the right way. If it feels bad, stay away from it. And if it feels good, go in that direction and try to do more of what feels good and try to stay away from the things that feel bad. And it sounds simple, but we've been taught to just suck it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The numbing, the stuffing down of emotions is so unhealthy. So unhealthy. But hey, that's why we are grateful to be alive and to be here where we're at, coaching our clients and giving them the power to choose their reality. Really what I think it is stories are running people, these beliefs, these paradigms, the perspectives that they think is the truth. And then we're able to come in and say, are you listening to yourself? Are you aware? Are you present? Or are you just on autopilot? Are you just like not even here? Like, are you thinking about this? Are you present? Are you aware of how it feels? Time to get present, time to like slow down and like ask people for feedback. And thank God, she reached out to you and she was getting coaching or guidance. And that's awesome. I'm so grateful to hear that she didn't make a lifelong mistake.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting though. I mean, I think that for me, one of my big changing points when it came to even relationships was that what I was saying before about not really knowing what love felt like. And I kind of had a breakthrough moment of that feeling of love. I was with some friends at a concert. And while we were at the concert, I just remember turning around to my friend and I said, I get it. And, it was again, one of those things where she was like, all right, Stephanie, what do you get? I was like, I get it. I get what love is supposed to feel like. she was like, all right, well, what is it supposed to feel like? And I was like, it's supposed to feel like this. Feeling of not feeling worried that you two are going to start arguing or there's going to be a fight. It's this feeling of calm. I think that, we were saying before, like we get this idea of like love is like this crazy and like bubbly and all these crazy emotions and almost anxiety, but like all these crazy things. Right. Realistically, love is, the saying love is patience, love is kind. Yeah, all that, but it's calming. You feel good. You feel like, just like you're in a serene, happy place. It's not nerve-wracking. And it was until that light switch went off for me that I said, oh, okay, so all of those times I thought I was feeling love, it was like this crazed love that wasn't really anything that was going to ever work out in a good way. And you're finally finding and understanding. So then every time when I was dating other people, I was able to really say to myself, oh, wait, that's not what that feels like. And I will not settle for anything that doesn't feel like that. Wow. And the settling part, I think, is really, really a huge issue.
Well, what I also hear is the sexual attraction, right? There's this biological chemistry that goes on naturally between men and women, and like people mistake that for love.
Oh, they're really great in bed. Oh, really? Okay. Well, you can't be in bed all the time. And I think when you're younger, and when I was younger, that was more like, okay, well, there's that sexual attraction and whatever. But then the other stuff, we weren't best friends. And you're like, oh, I can have both. I actually have both. And I think some people think, well, you can have a friend, but it's really, you can't really have someone that's good in bed. You can actually, I'll tell you, have both.
In fact, that's how it ideally should be. Like it should be like a friendship. It should be like this communication where you enjoy hanging out with each other without all the sexual, without even the kissing. Can you have a decent, intelligent conversation? Do you want this person standing next to you while you're going through life, or with you? And like if you're not making out, like do they still deserve to be there?
Exactly. Can you talk about politics or like your things with this person? If not, then it's going to get boring really fast.
Something I really dawned upon me, and I'm grateful I get to share this right now because it was kind of like really subtle. It always felt weird to me when someone, a woman, attractive woman, would say like I appreciate our friendship, or like friend or whatever, and I was like, okay, so did you just label me what we are? Like, is that what you just did? And I'm getting more and more now that like that's a sign of trust. That's a sign of affection. That's a sign of, hey, that's the first freaking step. Stop trying to what do you want us to be? Like we've only had a couple conversations so far. And so I just really gained a respect for friendship in any relationship, whether it's just friends and business associates too, like even like calling those people, professional relationships, friendships, right? Like that's important to me that it is classified as a friendship. Like I would want to be around you, even if we weren't talking about this business deal. Like that's important that we work together at that level and we synergize at that level. And same thing with women. I want to be able to call you, like, I'm so grateful for our friendship, and not have that like be weird, but just like, hey, that's a great foundation to start on. And I know we're going to be friends for a long time unless you like change into this crazy person, or I do change into my crazy person, whatever. But it's like just be on that same foundation is so powerful. So I'm grateful that this came up.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, even for us, when we do anything, I mean, we have some real estate that we do and stuff like that, but everything is always like the vibe. Do I have a good vibe? Do I have a good relationship? Do I feel good about this person? Because realistically, when we haven't felt so great about the person, but the deal seemed good or whatever, it ended up not being good. Yeah. So I think that's really important to read that, get that energy that you're getting from somebody else and listen to it, because it's normally not off.
Wow. So I'm curious, what is the feeling like? What would you describe it as if that feeling connection is working? Is the right feeling, feels good? Like, how do you know if it's a real connection versus, I'm not feeling so great about this person, like I should stay away?
I can easily explain I think I can easily explain the difference. For me, I noticed I call them the energy suckers or like the energy givers. And sometimes there's like almost a flat feeling. But when I leave a conversation and I feel energized, or sometimes I'll feel tingly. Yeah. Sometimes I feel my body feel tingly, or sometimes I'm just like, I get off the phone call with someone and I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I get all this energy. Or sometimes I'm just like, all right, I felt good. It's the energy suckers that you have to be careful of, where they seem really great, but then you end the conversation and you feel drained.
Wow.
Tired. You feel maybe like a little uncomfortable. That's the warning to you that is not someone that you should keep associating or really limiting. There's some toxic people that you kind of sometimes have to deal with a little bit. And even that, in a little bit of a strange way, because you don't really have to do anything. But like for family, sometimes you feel a little bit more pressure to deal with toxic people. But when you're feeling that drained feeling, that uncomfortable feeling, it's really important to, set up those boundaries and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let this person know what I need or want to make this better. And for sometimes, if they are not going to listen, then it's just better to just really limit the amount of time you spend with those people. But yeah, the excited energy versus the drained feeling are huge for me when it comes to associating with people.
That's powerful. That's such a great distinction too, because it's like simple, like check in. How are you feeling after the fact? Do you feel great? Do you feel excited, ready to take on the world? Did you feel like, oh man, like why did I just waste an hour?
Yeah, exactly. And that's horrible because realistically, life is so short.
Yeah.
So, if you're going around spending all this time giving to all of these people that are just sucking all of your energy, because when you are a good person, people want to be around your energy, like you said. So you got to be a little bit more careful with who you allow into your energy field. So if you're allowing all these life suckers all the time, then by the end of the day, you're so drained, it's really hard to even think of yourself. So, it's important to really kind of, balance and even go more towards the passion side of the things that make you feel good. So that's people that make you feel good too. And, you were at a party and you're in this uncomfortable conversation with someone. And I'm the one that would sit there, for like a half an hour and still be listening and saying to myself, I don't want to be here anymore. Get me out of it. But I've kind of changed that. Yep. Now when I start to feel that way, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go get some carrot sticks or whatever. And I'm out of there because I don't have the time to put into someone I can feel them sucking my energy away. And it's not good for me. And I don't say the wrong thing or do the wrong. So it's just better to just walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think people are a lot more resilient than we think. And if they want to make up a story about that and like get caught up in that and, start something, like good, let them, let them be that person who, has to deal with that. Like maybe you're the catalyst that has them transcend that, who knows? That's awesome.
We really are. I mean, we're the mirrors for other people. Yeah. When we start to see somebody getting upset or angry, a lot of the times it really has nothing to do with us whatsoever. It really has to do with the other person and their insecurities and their lower self-esteem and all those things and how they feel about themselves. So instead of trying to fix or help or make them better, you got to let go and kind of let them be, like you said, maybe, they needed to be told, whatever it is that I said. I really, again, if I've stopped to really thinking about what I need to say as opposed to just, if it feels like it needs to be said, say it. And sometimes, it might come across like, why did I just say that? And then later on, there was a reason, for someone listening or for, a client. And I say to my clients all the time, sometimes I say things, just take it if you don't really get what it is. And almost all the time later on, they're like, okay, so your voice came into my head and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So it's there, and there's a reason why things are coming out the way they are. And sometimes it's something that you need to work on. I did something or I said something that was hurtful and I saw someone's reaction. Okay, they need to work on them, but that was something that I need to work on as well. And to be open and honest with yourself, I think is important too.
Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Oh my gosh. So tell us more about like relationships. What else do we need to know about succeeding in relationships and just having that great connection, having great communication? What else you got for us?
I mean, really the biggest thing is like just a communication. I mean, you really have to, it is a little bit of work, and everyone says, well, relationships are work. And I think that comes across as it's got to be hard work. And I have not found that to be the case. I think that when people say relationships are work, it gives people a negative idea. It's got to be all this work all the time. When it is work, I would use the word, term work a little bit more loosely, because it's really just being really honest with each other. And again, sometimes when you're feeling a certain way of letting the person know, or if something is bothering you, let them know, or, again, being honest with yourself. Okay, why is it what they're doing upsetting me, or need to be right? I think one of the things that I'm learning a lot, even just from my husband, is sometimes the forcing of being right, even though you be 100% right, is not helping anybody. Back and forth to show who is more right than the other person. You might be both right, because you're two different individuals coming to, the relationship from two different perspectives. So you're right. You might be right in your own way. So really hearing what the other person says and empathizing and hearing, like really hearing what they say, not just listening that you can get the next word in, but to really listen to what they have to say. And going on dates, I think since we've had a child, it does change things. And I was, for 38 years, I didn't have any children. I was able to just kind of worry about me and do what I needed to do. And so having a child, so you kind of have these two free people, and here where all of a sudden we have to take care of this other adorable little human being, but still takes up a lot of energy, and really finding time to still reconnect, out, and we'll say, oh, hi. Yeah, I remember you. I remember when we used to do this and go out and have a drink, or, whatever it is that you like to do with your partner. And those things are really important. I mean, we love live music. So an opportunity to go out and listen to some live music and get to dance or whatever. I mean, that to me is so helpful, because it just reminds you that connection that you have with each other. And then another issue is that, and I'm going to kind of a little bit point to the ladies a little bit, be open about what you want sexually. Because I find that, again, there's the stereotype that if a woman knows what she wants, then she is a whore, or that she has slept around or whatever. But your spouse wants to know what you want, just like you want to know what they want. And so for you to want to have sex with your husband or vice versa, it's not giving in or whatever. It's a mutually exclusive, and it's part of connecting. You are not having a sexual relationship and you're in a married relationship. Why aren't you? What is happening that you're not connecting like that? Why wouldn't you want to have a sexual relationship with your husband? I mean, or a wife. I mean, you're there. Why would you not want to? To me, my husband's the most gorgeous man I've ever seen. So not want to. And, when people say they have no sex life, all right, well, you need to start talking again.
Man.
Go on that date, have that conversation, because all of those pieces are so important. After we didn't want to have sex anymore because I was so tired, or, there's all these different excuses. But if you want to be happy, one kind of goes with the other. Women want to feel connection to have sex, and men want to have sex in order to feel connection. We meet somewhere in there. So go out on those dates, plan nice things for each other, do nice things. We like to surprise each other and do sweet things for each other, and just keep it interesting and laugh. If I could put like the last thing on there, laughing is so important. Be able to laugh at yourself, laugh at some of the silly things that are going on, laugh at how serious you can be, or, we poke fun at each other for, when we go on and on about something we're passionate about, and, we kind of poke fun at each other, or, in love, it's not totally. On anything else, but, I mean, the laughing part, I think that can get you through some of the worst moments, even like when you're angry and you like say something stupid or, and then you just laugh it off after you've talked about it and you've figured it out. People feel, comfortable with the outcome. The laughing part is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. So we covered relationships, and I'm curious if there's anything else, like energetically, that we can do to keep ourselves empowered or uplifted, or any other guidance you'd give us going into 2018 about managing and really being effective with our energy.
Well, I mean, one of the things that really helps me is just staying hydrated. I see, and here I've got my giant 32-ounce bottle of water.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, I drink about 96 ounces of water every day.
Awesome.
So I'm getting a lot of water in. And I am really a big fan of green smoothies. Green smoothies are getting all those vitamins and minerals from all the vegetables in there, spinach or kale, whatever you like. And then fruit of choice, I like banana, apple, and frozen peaches. Handful of chia seeds, some almond milk and water, but every single day. I mean, to me, just helps me stay energized and motivated and connected. Those are the huge things. And then, of course, that regular self-care. You know, what are you doing? And it might be a little bit different for everybody. You know, for some people, it's journaling. For some people, just learning how to say no, you know, say yes to everything. And then all of a sudden they have no time for themselves. So learning when to say no, prioritizing it was actually interesting. Today, I had actually reached out to a client asking for a testimonial because I you know, thinking about sharing testimonials. And she said that she didn't have the time. And I was thinking about how that sounds coming from the other direction, because there's that little piece of me that wanted to be defensive and whatever. Thinking again, back to that lesson, wait a minute, I've said that before to people. I don't have time. The reality is it's not a priority to you. So I had to kind of rethink that. I'm like, okay, well, what I'm doing is not a priority. And I get it because this is my life and this is what I'm doing. So it's not a priority for you. And that's okay. Right. And there's that changing of the words, prioritizing. I don't have the time. This is not a priority for me. And think about if that changes how you look at things. Yeah,
like what could I do to have this be a higher priority for you? What could I help you with? What do you need? What do you like, resources, whatever? How can I serve you so to free up some space to create a solution?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then just exercise, yoga, and the daily meditation and affirmations. I think a combo of those together for me is really what helps keep me grounded. I mean, for me, I'm in New York, and anyone else is in New York is seeing it. And all these northern areas, we're all freezing to death. I mean, this is so cold. But I love to go outside. I think time in nature, when it's nicer weather, I love going hiking. I love spending time outdoors. That reconnecting with nature reconnects me a little bit more to spirit. And when you talk about, having that energy, I can leave hiking, I'll go hiking with friends and we'll drive for hours to go find the perfect hiking place with some waterfalls and hills and all these different things, some rock scrambles and whatever. And at the end, I just leave feeling just so energized. I'm done 10 miles and it didn't even matter. We could have gotten up at 4 a.m. and driven 5 hours. And, it doesn't matter because I normally feel so good afterward.
Yeah. That's so powerful. Awesome. So, Stephanie, what's the new reality we want our audience stepping into after this interview? What new perspective? What do you want them taking on? What new paradigm? What new shift? What new actions can they really gain from this interview?
You have way more power than you realize. I think if that's like the biggest thing is that you really do have the power and that victim feeling and feeling, like somebody else, your knight in shining armor is going to come save you. It is just not a healthy reality, as knowing that you have that power to make your life what you want without anybody else telling you what your life should be or who you should be. Because, realistically, nobody knows how anyone should live.
Nope.
You need to go with your bliss. You need to go with what makes you happy. And you're the only one who can tell that because you were born for a special purpose. And so what that purpose is if you allow yourself to really dig in and figure that out. Wow. So, and another thing to just add to that too, for my husband and I with our business, our biggest thing is really the thought of the more people we can help. It almost becomes selfish because if everybody was living in their best self, the world would just be a better place. Yes. That helps everybody.
Yes.
If the more people we can reach out to, the more people we can help, the more people that we can help lift up and empower to be their best versions, it does good for humanity. So if we can just do that, all those times you have a negative thought about someone, all those times you have a negative thought about yourself, if you replace it and really see them from the soul perspective, this soul coming on this planet to do the best that they can to learn from whatever it is they need to learn from. And some people are in different places than others, and being understanding of that. We don't have to be around those people all the time. Those, they're on their journey, you're on yours. You don't have to force the help, but if they're coming to you and saying, hey, I this is what I'm going through, I need some help, then great, do that more often. Help. Don't hurt. Don't think negatively either about yourself or anybody else.
Wow. Awesome, Stephanie. You're a rock star. How do people stay connected with you moving forward? And do you have anything to offer them or share with them? Please, we would love to hear.
Well, Well, you can follow us on Facebook at Mind and Body Awakenings. I also have a private group called Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. That is a private group. So if there's anything, I actually have a book coming out. It's actually in the editing phases.
Awesome.
It's the title of the book is Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt, and it's my journey out of codependency. So keep your eyes open because that should be coming out in the next, hopefully, month or two. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited about it. So www.mindandbodyawakenings.com. And you can see us online and then read more about my husband and myself and see some of the client testimonials that we have. And right now, I actually wanted to offer something a little bit different from what anybody else has had. So everyone who's viewing this is going to be the only ones right now who have been offered this ever. So you're hearing it first.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first 5 people, I'm only accepting 5, the first 5 people will be able to get to be a part of a group coaching plan that we are starting in the next 2 weeks.
Sweet.
We're going to have daily check-ins, accountability. We're going to have the possibility of doing the Psych session with my husband. Even just, talking to him about it right before I came on, and he was like, all right, let's do this. I'd love to be able to donate that session, which is normally $125 for one session with him for 1 hour. So he is giving that as part of the program. And it's going to be 6 weeks. It's called Transforming Your Patterns, Transforming Your Life. So the patterns in our lives that we need to change and kind of tweak, we'll be helping you through that. So like I said, the group accountability, there's going to be activities that people are going to be doing, some journaling, and some one-on-one with me, because even though it's a group, you're going to be able to interact with me every single day to help really motivate you to go forward. So 5 people that contact me through email would be mindandbodyawakenings@gmail.com. You're going to get this program for only $500.
Awesome.
Anybody else, if it's like the 6th person or we do this another time, the program's going to be $1,000. So it's a 50%. It's the first time we're doing this program. It's 50% off. Plus, you're getting that Psych session for my husband for free. So that those little parts of you that needs to be tweaked in order to move and really kick up to the next level, to have that tool at your fingertips. So that's a $1,125 value that you're getting for $500. So I'm almost giving it away, basically.
What a deal.
Take the opportunity to jump on that. So the first 5 people, so you have to be quick if you're going to be interested in starting that program.
Awesome. They can email you at mindandbodyawakenings@gmail.com. Yep,
exactly.
Sweet. Awesome. And I'm sure they could send you a personal message on Facebook as well.